Welcome back to Global Formula Apex, the only place where we don't just report Formula One news, we break it down, decode it, and tell you what it really means for the championship. And today, you are not ready for this. Because after weeks of silence, rumors, leaks, and paddock whispers, Max Verstappen has finally broken his silence on Red Bull's new engine project. And it comes right as new evidence has emerged that could completely reshape the power balance of Formula One. So let me ask you this right now. Is Red Bull about to pull off the most important technical move of the modern F1 era? Or are we watching the first cracks in their empire? Stay with me, because the deeper we go, the more shocking this gets. And the conclusion might change how you see the next few seasons entirely. To understand why Verstappen speaking up now is such a big deal, we need to rewind a little. For years, Red Bull's success has been built on two pillars: elite aerodynamics and bulletproof power units. First it was Renault, then Honda, and together they created one of the most dominant eras the sport has ever seen. But everything changed the moment Red Bull decided to go solo. Red Bull Powertrains, no external supplier, no safety net. Just Red Bull building its own future from the ground up. On paper, it sounded bold. In reality, it was a massive gamble, and for a long time, Max Verstappen said almost nothing about it. Short answers, neutral comments, total discipline. That silence, it wasn't accidental, it was strategic. Inside the paddock, though, the tension was impossible to ignore. Rivals like Mercedes and Ferrari quietly questioned whether Red Bull could really replicate Honda's reliability and performance on their own. Engineers whispered about early dyno issues. Analysts noticed subtle changes in Red Bull's long-run behavior, and then came the so-called new evidence. Reports began circulating that Red Bull's next-generation power unit, developed under the Red Bull Ford Powertrains banner, was showing incredible peak performance, but with worrying signs around thermal management and durability. Nothing officially confirmed, of course, but enough smoke to make everyone start looking for fire, and that's when Max Verstappen finally spoke, not with panic, not with excuses, but with something far more interesting: measured confidence mixed with unmistakable honesty. Verstappen acknowledged that the new engine project is ambitious, that it's not simple, and this is the key, that there are things still being learned. Now, think about that for a moment. This is a driver who is usually ice, cold, ultra-controlled, and allergic to uncertainty. When Max chooses those words, he's telling us something very specific. This project is real, the risks are real, and the upside, potentially massive. From Verstappen's perspective, the stakes couldn't be higher. He's in his prime, multiple world titles already in the bag, and yet history has shown us that dominant drivers can lose everything if their team gets the technical direction wrong. Ask Sebastian Vettel. Ask Fernando Alonso. Max knows this. That's why his silence mattered, and why his decision to speak now matters even more. He's not just commenting as a driver. He's commenting as a stakeholder in Red Bull's future. Around the paddock, the atmosphere has shifted. Mercedes insiders are suddenly much quieter. Ferrari engineers are watching Red Bull's GPS data with renewed intensity, and midfield teams, their hope in quietly, that this is the moment Red Bull finally stumbles. Because let's be clear, if Red Bull nails this engine, we're not talking about short-term dominance. We're talking about a locked-in advantage heading into the next regulation cycle. Full chassis integration, full engine philosophy alignment, total control. That's the dream every team has, and very few ever achieve. Now, you might think you know how this plays out. You might think this is just another case of rumors being overblown, official statements calming everyone down, and Red Bull continuing to crush the field, but the official statements are only half the story. What my sources inside the paddock are saying is where the real bombshell is, and this is where things get really interesting. Behind closed doors, Red Bull has reportedly restructured parts of their power unit development timeline. Certain performance targets were hit earlier than expected, others missed, and the response wasn't panic, it was aggression, more resources, more testing, more risk. This lines up perfectly with Verstappen's tone. He didn't say the engine was perfect, he didn't say it was unbeatable, he said it was a process. Translation: Red Bull believes they can out-develop everyone else over time, and that belief is dangerous for their rivals. Because while Mercedes is fighting political battles and Ferrari is still chasing operational consistency, Red Bull is betting on learning faster than anyone else. Let's talk consequences. If this engine delivers what Red Bull thinks it can, Verstappen's career trajectory changes again. We're no longer talking about best driver of his generation. We're talking about all-time territory, sustained dominance, records that may never be touched. But if it goes wrong, if reliability becomes an issue, if development stalls, Max suddenly finds himself in a position he hasn't been in for years, reacting instead of controlling, and that's when things get unpredictable. Rival teams are already planning scenarios. Mercedes is positioning itself as the safe, stable alternative. Ferrari is betting on emotional pull and legacy. Even teams like Audi are watching closely, knowing that Red Bull's success or failure will shape the entire competitive landscape they're entering, and drivers, they're paying attention too. Because if Red Bull shows vulnerability, the driver market explodes. So what does this really mean? It means Verstappen breaking his silence isn't reassurance, it's a signal that Red Bull is all in. No turning back, no plan B. They've crossed the point of no return. The new evidence, the internal reshuffling, the careful language, it all points to one thing: Red Bull believes the reward is worth the risk. And history tells us that when Red Bull commits like this, they usually don't do it halfway. Let's bring this home. The key takeaways are clear. Red Bull's new engine is powerful, but not yet perfect. Verstappen knows it, acknowledges it, and is choosing to trust the process. The paddock is watching closely because this project could define the next era of Formula One. My bold prediction: Red Bull will face early challenges, but by the time it really matters, they'll have turned those weaknesses into weapons. And Max Verstappen, he'll be right at the center of it, doing what he does best, winning when it counts. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think Red Bull has taken on too much by building their own engine, or is this the masterstroke that keeps them on top for years to come? Drop your theories in the comments below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to smash that like button, share this video with another Formula One fan, and subscribe to Global Formula Apex so you never miss the stories that really shape the sport. We'll see you in the next one.